Hey everyone, what you're about to hear is a live Q&A I just did with Debra Martin. She's an extraordinary woman who had 3 unbelievable near-death experiences and survived cancer. She's got lots of tools and healing modalities for helping people get through really difficult things, including cancer, and we look forward to sharing that with you. Debra has one of the most incredible stories you've ever heard. She's written 6 books. She's had 3 near-death experience. She's a cancer survivor. She's had everything from auto accidents that literally she goes out in spirit and selects a different outcome. Maybe you can explain that, Debra. You can go in as much or as little depth as you want to. Her books are incredible. I'll post the interview that I did with her, but her story is amazing. She is an international research lab certified medium from the Windbridge Research Center. I think it's so exciting that we have this level of medical and scientific testing that's going on, because it takes it out of the world of woo-woo and it makes it, wow, there's really something going on here that's profound, and there's profound healing attached to it. So Debra has developed a technique that's unique to her own. She does one-on-one sessions, she does group sessions, and we were just talking before we came on camera about how amazing those healings have been, just even in the group sessions. So Debra, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and then we can, talk about the subconscious mind a little bit and how powerful that is. But go ahead and just start opening it up on this topic of getting unstuck.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on your platform, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining today. Without you, this wouldn't be able to transpire. So I think we have so many ways we feel stuck. Like you mentioned, we could have finances where we feel stuck in our finances. How do we walk through that? Through health, through love, through relationships, whether it's even a job or a personal relationship. And I think you may even have a different topic of why you feel stuck. Maybe it's do I change my business? How do I know if I'm following my own tuition, or if it's just something that I'm dreaming of and there's no way that I can make this happen? And I think it's important that we do listen to our intuition. And how do we listen to that intuition when we feel stuck? We have to ask ourselves, what's the main reason we feel stuck? Do we feel stuck because we just can't get ahead financially? Do we feel stuck because we have fear, maybe fear of money, fear of a new relationship, things that might trigger you from your past? Maybe you need healing from your past so you can move forward and let this stuff go. I know one of the things that's always gotten me through is my faith. And any time that I feel stuck, I take a deep breath and ask myself, okay, how's this serving me? And why am I feeling stuck? What is the root cause? And it might not come out right away, but I do feel it will come through. One of the things that I think we all deal with at times, it might be finances. It'd be like, okay, I'm a little short, or, oh, I'm not getting enough business this month, or I want to change my life, but I don't have the finances to do so. And I can remember walking that walk where I was getting divorced. And the reason I was getting divorced is to do this work. My husband didn't want me to do this work. And that's fearful, because everything that I had, my foundation was solid. My relationship was solid. At least I thought it was. And we couldn't walk the same path. So I had to choose, do I walk that path or not? And I can remember feeling paralyzed. How am I going to afford groceries? How am I going to pay for insurance? I'm going to do anything. And I sat here and thought, okay, I was guided and given this gift. So if I was given this gift, and we all have our own gifts, right? Whatever you're doing. And I surrendered and said, I will always have what I need when I need it. And that's always been kind of my motto, to sit back and go, it's okay. I will always have what I need when I need it. And things would just pop up and things would just happen. But if I sat back and go, worry, stress, Am I creating that reality of I'm not going to have enough? It's not going to come. It's like talking to the universe, whether you talk to the universe, or you talk to God, whoever you're talking to. What are you putting out there? What is the reality that you want to bring into your life? And so think about why you're stuck first. What's triggering you to be stuck? And then how can we move forward? And that's what we're here today, is to help you find the reasons or solutions of how we can help you move forward from being stuck.
Sounds really good.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
My background is helping people, go into their subconscious mind, finding what the blocks are there. Certainly that's been really helpful for helping people get unstuck. People with panic attacks and eating disorders, addictions of various types. I love that Debra said, what's the source of it? And then once we can connect to that and remove it at the root, and Debra's got all kinds of wonderful healing stories. And often the root is not what you expect. I mean, how often do you find, Debra, that it's not something that either you or the person you're working with had even expected?
Well, sometimes I'll go to like when they were a child and they totally forgot that. They didn't know how to heal that at that time. They didn't know how to voice that. They didn't know how to walk through that. And so they're like, how did you pull that up? Where did you get that? I'm like, well, yeah, you're tapping into somebody that does know, not me, right? Who I call God. And he brings that through. And then we're able to cry, release, and go through there. But sometimes it can even be from a past life I've seen. Or it can even be from, I've had where people have addictions and they're like, I don't know where this addiction came from. And then we start to look in their ancestors. And we say, okay, maybe it was even finances, right? They were struggling during the wartime, and then all of a sudden their fears and everything start coming to us. And once we cut those cords, it's kind of like, oh, I'm free from that. I don't need to hold on to their stuff. I don't need to walk their walk. They already walked it. And that way I can now walk my own journey. And it's like, how do we know? How do we know where it's coming from? Is it coming from an ancestor? Is it coming from a past life? Is it coming from something we're holding on to? And I think what you can do, you can once, connect to us where we can help you, but you can also sit within. You all have guides. Sit within and have no expectation. Just put the question out, even on a piece of paper, remove your mind. I say, put the ego to the side and just be. And things might just drop into you where you're like, I don't even know why I'm crying. And maybe you're not supposed to know why. Maybe you're just supposed to release it. So there's all ways of releasing that. And I don't want you to think that there's only one way. That's why I say you might not know it. You might be like, gosh, I just feel like curling up in my bed and crying. Crying is a way of healing. Let it out, even if you're not sure what it is.
I recently did a show on the prayer of Ho'oponopono, and something as simple as that prayer. Debra, do you ever use that one?
I have not. I would love to.
Simple, ancient Hawaiian prayer. It just goes, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And there's so much power in those words. You're surrendering, you're asking for forgiveness, you're saying thank you, which is acknowledging that you've received it. You're saying I love you, which puts the vibration of love in there. I read this remarkable book on it called Zero Limits, and interviewed Joe Vitale. And I just was trying it on my hip one time, and my hip had been bothering me for months, and I just tuned into it just like you're describing, Debra, where it's like you're just saying, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just going to sit with this. I'm going to offer it love. I'm going to say, if I've abused you in any way, if I've hurt you in any way, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And to my complete and utter surprise, it came back with me with, I'm just old, stuck, lack energy, the energy of lack and not having enough. And just acknowledging it was enough for it to leave.
You embraced it. It's like, when somebody's sick, right? You embrace them with a hug, you take care of them. You were taking care of you, and you embrace that area, you embraced your body with love. And I believe love heals. And that's where the energy of love comes through when I do healing sessions. So we are going to our bodies to help love, but hug yourself once in a while, because I really believe, like you just said, you took the time to love yourself, and the body will feel it. And you might just feel a release just by giving yourself self-love. And that will start to unstuck things, because it's like, I think when we love ourselves and we just, no matter what's going on in our world, like we could have a lot of things coming at us at once. But if we take that moment to say, okay, I have to love myself and breathe and take time to hug me, it just helps with everything. It seems to balance everything out.
I love the tapping because that incorporates that as well. It's like, you do the major acupuncture points and then you say something like, even though I'm feeling stressed right now, even though I'm feeling angry right now, I deeply love and appreciate myself. And as you're going through those key acupuncture points and you're repeating that over and over again, even though you're acknowledging the state that you're in, but you're also saying, I deeply love and appreciate myself. And I couldn't agree with you more that the energy of love is just so transformative and so healing.
I think that's the key to it all, right? To everything. So talking about health, right? Because you're talking about health and how it can be really, really a struggle to when somebody has cancer and they've had it for years and it just keeps repeating. They get a little break and it keeps coming back. And you feel like, well, why am I stuck in this pattern of having cancer? That can be tricky because each of us have our own body and our bodies are going to do what it needs to do. It's like, did I buy the Royals rice or did I buy the junker, right? I mean, it's just what we don't know. And it's also teaching us. Cancer is teaching you. You're not the same person you were before you had the cancer. But how do I feel unstuck from that cancer? Or any illness, okay? Any illness. It could be even you feel stuck because you have a leg injury and you can't walk the same way that you used to. So what I say is your body is magnificent no matter what it's going through. But I want you to tell yourself, like, this is just a little piece of me. And what happens when you have it for so long, you feel like that's all of you. And I want you to take your power back. And I want you to feel like this is a term. This was a diagnosis. But it's not everything and all of who I am. And then you surrender that. And you can talk to your health issue, you can talk to your leg and give gratitude for it. Like, let's just go to the leg. Like, this leg used to work and now it doesn't. But you're magnificent. You've done such a wonderful job for me all these years. And the same with your body going through cancer. You're magnificent. You're working for me. And I think when you recognize that, then you can step back. It's almost like, okay, you're removing your spirit from the inside of the body. You're just like, okay, I'm going to step back and be like, my body's going through this, but what am I going to do when I step back? I'm going to find joy. It's hard to find joy when you feel like crap. I've been there. And I've strongly believe that because I walked with an attitude of gratitude, that helped raise my vibration to get through my day. I can say my children would always say, well, your cancer wasn't that bad. Well, that's because they saw the attitude of gratitude, right? They didn't see me like, oh, and I still had to go through the moments, right? But it was that, where's the joy today? I remember not being able to walk even in a grocery store. That was too much. Or even to put a load of laundry in. I couldn't cook. I couldn't even smell food. So the smell of food when it came back was joy. The fact that I could put a load of laundry in was joy. But when I couldn't do those things, where was my joy? My joy was looking out the window and seeing a bird go by. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful that is. Feeling the wind against, breeze coming in and breathing it in. Joy doesn't have to be where you're laughing Joy can be listening to music. Joy could be watching a funny movie to make yourself laugh. But joy surrounds us in so many ways, and we just have to look at it and embrace it. I'm telling you, when you take your mind from this ugh space, the yuck, to the joy space, it really shifts you from feeling stuck of the health issue taking over you. So take your power back.
I would definitely second that. I've worked with so many people that just got in that spiral, and the stress and the negativity ended up just doubling down on the spiral downwards. And once they were able to go into their subconscious mind and just peel away the layers of stress and fear and connect to the bliss and the joy, then all of a sudden their body had the battery pack to heal. And they would get over, crazy things like, daily seizures and mast cell inflammation and having become allergic to everything but 5 foods and choking disorders. And when we're in a state of gratitude and a state of joy, like you're saying, and we raise our vibrations, then we're more compatible with healing than we possibly could be if we were in a different state.
Yeah. And I think too is go back to loving yourself during that time. Take time to love yourself. I remember I felt so in tune when I had cancer. And I can tell you why is because everything else didn't matter anymore. That's the gift it gave me. I wasn't concerned about anything. I was like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to survive. So I let everything else go. And by letting everything else go, it freed me. And I gave it to God, saying, it is going to be what it's going to be. I'll be good either way. And if we do that in everything in life, that just frees you from that heaviness that holds us down, that worry, that stress, that feeling of being stuck. And I always knew that I was being guided. But, they always say, fight whatever you're going through. Be strong, fight, fight, fight. Well, I didn't fight it. I talked to it and I loved it and I embraced it. And it was teaching me. So I was talking, what are you teaching me? What do you want me to know? What am I supposed to do with this? Why do I have it as a healer? If I'm healing everybody else, what is my outcome? What am I supposed to do with this? And I ended up writing a book, Doctors, Faith, and Courage, putting all my prayers in there, not even knowing till the end of the book what my outcome was going to be. But I knew that the steps that I was learning, I could provide to somebody else. So there's always something there for you. What is it teaching you? How are you? Just sit back and ask yourself, whatever situation you're in and however you're feeling, how is this serving me right now? The way I'm feeling, the way I'm digesting it. How am I feeling? If I'm not digesting it well, then you might have digestive issues. Really ask yourself these questions and then say, what are the tools that I can do to get unstuck? One, remember, let the fear go. This fear is just making you stuck. And the other one is replace it with, I'm enough. All will be well and is well. And at this very moment, no matter what you're going through, take a deep breath and just say, I'm safe and I'm loved. And it's like when you say that, you just feel like you just get this beautiful hug that embraces you. And you just go, oh, well, that feels good. Okay.
So I wanted to open it up to some questions because we've got these beautiful people here that all have things that are going on in their lives that we'd love to help you with. Our guest from Hawaii wanted to know about natural disasters. So that's a different topic than you're used to having in your books. Do you have a comment on that?
I do. I do an Army for Love gathering, and we just talked about this. How the world might be feeling some of the negativity and the anger that we're going through. It's like everybody's kind of on this hype. And then all of a sudden, is the world feeling that? Is it showing us that we need to start sending love not only to ourselves, but to the earth? It's very hard to see these national disasters like this. I I watch it every day because I want to send love to it. I want to send love out to the world. And how do you do that? It's a simple act of just, put your hands up, put your intention out and say, I'm sending love, to wherever it is that you are, or wherever these people are that are, they don't have water, they don't have electricity. And I believe strongly that as we do this, that love that we're sending out will heal. Someone will feel it. We'll start to see a change. I watched this one video of this woman. She's like, I prayed as this was happening, and I'm the only person in a 2-block radius that has water and electricity. And she just stood there crying like, why me? But she just, it's the power of you when you're in that state of fear of, I don't know where my loved one is. I don't know if they've survived. I don't know that feeling. I never went through that. But I can only imagine that if I was in that predicament, I'd have to sit and say, they're not alone. And we're not alone. No one's alone. And so if we tap into asking God to take over, to embrace, to make sure they're not alone, I know they're not alone, or their loved ones are there, just to let them know, like, okay, someone has my back. And I strongly believe in the power of prayer.
And connection and community, for sure. So powerful.
Well, you're seeing it. Like, you're seeing the love that people are doing. They're emptying, like they're going to Costco and they're emptying all of Costco is like everything's gone, and they're just going out and distributing it to people. You're seeing that act of love. And if we go back to even 9/11, it seems like it's a wake-up call. Does it feel like sometimes when we get shaked like this, everybody comes together? And now that's the focus. It takes us off of the other negative things that are going on in the world. And could that be, hey, I'm waking you up. You all need to come back together. You all need to work together. And what is our part when we're not there? The power of prayer. You can donate. Whatever we can do, we do the best we can. But I just go back to that power of prayer. Like, everything's happening and will continue to happen to bring awareness, to bring strength, to bring unity, and to bring love.
Interestingly enough, Dr. Joe Dispenza's got a walk for the world this weekend. So it's a free meditation, and we've had up to 140,000 people all over the world, which it literally shifts the Schumann resonance, the resonance of the world, when you have that many people coming together and focusing on unity, love, connection.
Right.
It literally has a physiological effect. And what's really super cool is that we're living in a time where people like Debra, who have these beautiful abilities to connect with loved ones who have passed over, we can actually measure this stuff now because we've developed that technology.
I got the goosebumps when you said that.
I did just put in the chat box my interview with Debra because her life story is amazing.
Thank you.
Aren't familiar with it, and her other healing things. Do you want to give us the information on the healing army that you have that's available?
Yeah. Army for Love is a free gathering. It's it's the first Tuesday of every month at 3:00 Pacific Standard Time. The link is on my website, goldenmiracles.com. And what it is it's a place where you feel safe. You join. It's putting love into action. We're there to support each other. People come from all over the world and share their struggles. And then I'm finding now that people that have been on for a long time, now they're joining because they're supporting. They're supporting the others that are on the screen, which is beautiful. And they'll even say, like, I'm here just to support and send love to those that need it today. And at the top of the hour, I do a free mini healing session. And we've witnessed miracles, instant miracles right then and there. I see Gary's on this call today, and He co-hosts sometimes for me. And so he's been there the longest, witnessed how it's grown and witnessed how it's changed and evolved. And that's the one thing is we're always open to the change and to the subjects. And it's just a beautiful platform. And I welcome anybody that wants to join.
Beautiful. Let's see. We've got another one in the chat box here. I've been focusing on my building business since COVID, but it's been a challenge to get it truly off the ground. Over the past few years, I felt a strong pull towards starting a spiritually centered business, something that deeply occupies my thoughts. I know I could begin this part-time. Financially, though, I need to maintain my income. So she's asking about, how does she balance that with ego-driven concerns, struggling with meditation. She's basically looking for clarity and how do we get clear about where our soul is guiding us.
Okay, so if this is a passion of yours, then it becomes your mission. And I feel that if we all follow our passion, you're going to always come out ahead. That you're creating your own reality. You're creating it because this is who I am. This is my passion. You're putting everything into it. You're not going to fail. So how do you balance? It can be really hard. Sometimes we just have to go, I'm just going to take the big leap. And like I had no choice. I have to take the big leap and I have to trust it. That can be very fearful and that can be really hard. So the fact that you can do a part-time and then start to evolve and see, okay, I need to give a little bit more time to this and see if there's other people. I'm hearing from spirit, even though it might cost you a little bit money, but it might be good to have somebody else help you. So if somebody comes in and starts to assist you, they can start growing this as you're still doing your part of the business, and as you're still working this other business. I think that don't be afraid to let somebody else hold your hand. And did I answer all of that? Do you have anything else to say to that?
Yeah, actually, she's asking for your website. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Because I have worked in situations where, my expertise was sort of this, but then I was sort of spiritually called to do more of this. And when you do follow that heart calling, and cut out the junk as much as you can. I mean, obviously, if you have to put in a certain number of hours for something, it is a balance thing. But the more you can do what your passion is, and also notice the results of it. So if your passion is music or doing spiritual readings or whatever it is, notice the outcomes that you're getting, and collect those outcomes from people, because that when other people can see that these are the results that you're getting with whatever your spiritual offering is, they'll want to participate in that. Does that make sense, Deborah?
Yes. And I want to go back to she said, how do I know? Is this my ego? Is this my, is this just something I want, or is this something I'm supposed to do? When it's something that you're supposed to do, it comes from your heart. Like you said, it's so strong that you cannot not do it. That's how it feels. It's just like, I cannot not do this because this is who I am. This is a piece of what I need to do. And it's so strong that even if you try to put it aside, you can't stop thinking about it. And I feel Spirit's pushing you to do it, So trust that strength, that gut feeling, and just let the ego go, because the ego can spiral us, right? It can spiral all the what ifs. What if it doesn't turn out? What if I end up depleting all of my bank account? What if? How are those what ifs serving you? Why don't you just say, what if I do this and it succeeds? What if I have more abundance in my bank? I think it's really important, the power of our intentions out there. That's the part of being stuck. If we go to the negative side, that's the fear side, that's going to hold you down. But if you go to the other side of saying, okay, I'm going to put out to the universe. I'm going to stand in this, like you said before, stand it and say, thank you. You're not asking for it. You're thanking it. So when I go into prayer, when I'm doing healing sessions, I'm not saying, God, I need this healed today, because I feel God's a yes man. Yes, you do need that healed today. But if I go in there and say, we have this beautiful man here and he has some heart issues. Thank you, God, for bringing the spiritual surgeons today. Thank you for working through those spiritual surgeons. Thank you for this miracle that we're going to see. Thank you for showing me what else on the body needs to be healed. And thank you for using me. And then I'm like, let's go. Let's do this, right? Because all of a sudden you feel like, yeah. And just know that God's working through you. So say your affirmations, what you're grateful for during the day. Why do you love yourself? Sometimes we have to write down once a week, what do I love about me? Where am I going? What do I want? And when we write what we want, we are writing it in those words. We're not asking or saying, I'm standing in this. This is my birthright. I'm going to do this. Yeah.
And then you start to feel like a fish getting back in water. I felt like a fish crawling across the desert for so long. And then all of a sudden, when I really hit it's like God was screaming at me so loud to, cut chalks and pull chalks and really devote things 100% to, what I love the best, which is helping people find what's stuck in their subconscious mind and removing it. And then just noticing what happens as a result of that,
It's so funny you say that, because I was working with a person when I started my healings, and it would be like, oh, why is the Logo Center, like, we started at a church, why are they selling their church? Oh my gosh, where are we going to go? Well, then I pay attention, and God's like, it's not about the building, Debra. People are thinking it's about the building. All right, then we find another place. So we're there for a while. We went to every corner on that intersection, moving around. And then eventually I was told that we needed to split. Our energy wasn't matching, and that she needed to go her way and I need to go my way. And I was like, really? Okay. And the doors become so shut that you have to move forward. Like, I couldn't stay at that church. The doors are shutting. So when something closes like that, don't think it's happening against you. Think that it's happening for you, that there's another door opening that's going to be so much greater. And that comes with doctors too. If that doctor's not available and you're like, well, I heard he's the best and I can't get into him, that's okay. He's not the best for you. Trust those open and closed doors.
Beautiful. Any other questions? The only not good question is the one that doesn't get asked.
Yeah.
Gary, you look so familiar to me. I don't know if we've met each other before, but yes, what's your question? Oh, can you unmute yourself, I think?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was headed for. I don't remember you, but nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I think we forget how powerful our thoughts are, because so often I'll hear somebody set an intention for a goal and undermine it with a statement they make.
100%. I mean, I have to say the few percentages of people that I don't find get from where they are to where they want to go are the ones that are just ultra committed to the stuck reality.
Yes. And it could be very subtle. We don't even realize we do it. It's a learned pattern.
Yes.
Oh, it's never going to work out for me. I just know it's not going to. Well, no, as long as you think that, it's not. I wanted to just say also, absolutely love Debra, known her a long time. I've experienced her healing work. I've experienced her incredible mediumship, and she's the real deal. So I just wanted to say that. And Debra, I wanted to pose a question. We hear a lot about transformation taking place on the planet, and it does feel like there's something going on. And I came across something recently. Even Edgar Cayce said in the 1940s that in 2024 we were going to see a lot of solar activity, and then something big was going to happen in December. I don't know, if that timeline has remained the same. What does Spirit tell you about the transformation going on the planet at this time?
Great question.
Well, I probably have to sit with that a little while, but what I feel is our vibration is changing. And we might think, is that good or is that bad? I think it's very important that we all stay in the positive and raise that vibration and keep it high. And that goes back to your statement of the power of the mind. When we watch these disasters, when we watch politics, when we watch all this stuff that is negative, that's bringing everything down. And it's interesting because we have the election, right? And then we have December, like you said, and maybe we're just going to have this big, right, change. I don't know what that change is, but let's put out the positive energy rather than, whoever you're liking in politics, it can get you in that hype. Who you don't like, who you like. It just gets that energy going. Is that serving us? We need to take that and turn it around and go, okay, this is how I say it. I remember having this argument with my, many years ago in another presidential election with my brother-in-law. And he's very religious. And I said, well, do you ever ask God to say, please bring forth the right person that's going to serve all of us? And he said, do not mix politics with religion. And I said, I think that's when you want to. So my point here is maybe we just release it and say, I trust that if we place this into God's hands and we're putting the love behind it, the truth will be shown and the right person will be there for us. And that vibration that you're talking about, I think Spirit's saying, please tune into us because we're here to help. But you got to ask. And that vibration is getting higher and higher. And I've also watched where they're saying, yeah, the vibration's so high that it is making some of the hurricanes and everything shifting. So the world is shifting as we know it. We're watching it. And how can we calm it? I believe peace. And I think if we could all just find that little bit of peace within us and put that little peace out there, you matter. Even one person doing it will matter. And that's my 2 cents.
Well, I agree with that. And I interviewed a fabulous human being who escaped the Cultural Revolution in China years ago. Universal just released a movie on his life. Actually, it was picked up by Angel Studios. His story is just miraculous and amazing. But what he's wanting people to realize is that, we all agree on most things. I think we all agree on like 80%, 86% of things. So it makes much more sense to come together and participate in what we do agree on rather than play this game of, 50% of people are here and 50% of people there. And the energy of coming together on what he calls common ground. He says we need to find common ground where we can come
Unity.
together. Yeah.
Unity. I believe one world, one love. And I believe that if we just all placed love into it and people would start coming from love and sending love, then, like I say, love heals all.
There's also a very interesting cartoon that I wish I had clipped it out at the time, but it's a king on a terrace, and the townspeople are coming. They're very angry, and they've got pitchforks and torches. And the advisor to the king's sweating bullets. He's saying, "Oh my God, I'm done for." The advisor leans over and says, "Oh, sire, you don't have to fight them. You just have to convince the people with the pitchforks that the people with the torches want to take their pitchforks away."
That's good.
So again, it comes back to just recognizing our humanity, noticing most people just want to be safe. They want to raise their kids, they want to
healthy.
Yeah, they want to be healthy, and I think most of us are much more in agreement on things than sometimes the media portrays.
It is. We have to be careful what we're digesting. That's
Yes.
what I'm trying to say.
I didn't even put when I moved into this place, I didn't even put cable in. I don't want any of that stuff in my house. It's just there's ways to get your news, and you don't have to be tuned into this.
Well, I find, you get sucked in, and I'll be like, okay, I watched this episode. Now the next person's speaking the same thing. And what is this serving me? I have to sit back and go, how am I feeling at this moment? I'm feeling kind of like, a little anxious right now. And it's like, okay, so what am I going to do? I usually just step outside, take a deep breath, remain outside for a while, and just let that stuff go. But yeah, it can take a toll.
Matteo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Ireland has a question.
Yeah, sorry, just trying to show my face. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Sound lovely. Yes. Thank you for joining us.
It's nice to see you. I know you, but it's nice to see you. So thank you for putting your video on.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too. Really, I've been showing up to the Army for Love sessions for a while now. And so actually I was a recipient of a miracle as well on my lower back, which was a lot of pain. And it's just really lovely to be part of that group. And so, Debra, I'm really grateful to you for all the work that you're doing. And what's wonderful is how the little synchronicities move. I mean, even just, for instance, Sandra's question, I wasn't going to pose, but I have exactly the same situation going on. I've come up with this idea, and it's really sort of spiritually centered endeavor. And to listen to Debra answer Sandra's question addressed all of my own concerns. And, I've written them all down here about taking a big leap. And essentially what's really quite lovely about it is how much these are all messages and answers that, that have been whirling around inside my own mind. But to have you externalize that and to mirror that back to me is really lovely, and it's kind of nice confirmation, so I'm thankful for that confirmation.
That's beautiful, because it just shows you that the people that are here were guided here, right? They have similar things going on, and that spirit knew what you needed to hear today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that is really answers all the time, all these really great answers. And I think if I'm not getting it, it will come through, in these sort of things and so on. So there is a question, there's a sort of thing, I mean, it's funny, I did have a sort of one question about sort of balancing action and surrender and finding that right balance, but actually just listening to you and having the time there whilst Gary was talking, I kind of got the answers already about sort of waiting and resting, and I had a tendency to kind of work really hard and burn myself out, and just about taking it step by step. So I don't even know, I'm just expressing this because maybe it's something Sandra needs to hear. I don't know.
I think that's, I have that personality as well. It's kind of like, this is now my passion, and I just keep doing. And then I get burnt out. Like, it's like when it's time to write a book, plus do healings, plus do everything else. I'm like, oh, that's okay. I can do it all. But then all of a sudden you do feel burnt out, and you're like, okay. And it's always, you don't notice it until you are burnt out. And that's where I've tried to have the practice of, wait a minute, in every day, what's happening? If I have a lot attacking me in the morning, I know that, okay, we have to allow ourselves, like if you were working a job where they say, okay, you work 3 hours, you got a 15-minute break, you have to take these breaks. You have to take these breaks for yourself. And when you take the breaks for yourself, what are you going to do during that break? It could be simple as breathing. I don't know if you were on the last Army for Love, but Giovanni wore this necklace, this beads, And I really want to get the name of that again, because what it was is that he had these beads and he would breathe and then go to the next bead. And he would do that until it was all the way around. And it gives you a starting point and a stopping point. Because how many times do we go in to say, well, I'm going to just go out and breathe. And then our brain starts to think all these other things. Well, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. But when you have something, whether it's the beads, whether it's sitting in a sacred space where you're not going to have any interruptions, I'm going to light this candle. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be present. Make sure that those minutes that you're taking a break for are rejuvenating and raising your vibration, that you really are being present for you. And that's not easy when you are, a worker and you want to get things done. Sometimes you might even have to set the clock. Okay, after 3 hours, my phone's going to beep, 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 beep. Remind you, I got to take this break. And kind of set the pattern for yourself. I think if we consciously set these boundaries up that are going to feed us, then we can do so much better at the work that we're doing. Right?
100%. Self-care is so important.
Just throughout the day.
It's just like being in, the oxygen mask drops down. You're supposed to put it on yourself first before you put it on others. If you burn out, if you're less than, in fact, we talked about this in the interview that Debra and I did, and that's in the chat box. But she makes sure that she takes care of herself, because if she shows up burned out, she doesn't know how she's going to feel after a session. She might experience the person's extreme nausea or, pain of some kind. And if she's burnt out or not available 100% for the next person, it's not fair to her and it's not fair to that person. I'm a huge, I love my sleep at night. That to me is like a cave. I get to go in and I'm just feel all cocooned. I have found when I work with people who have had terrible insomnia, when we can remove those old filters that prevent them from sleeping at night, they're more able to heal. So yeah, self-care is very high on the list. The words that were self.
And what is best for you for your self-care? Only you know that. Like, some people love to take a bath. That just relaxes them. Some people like to go, if they have a pool, I'm just going to go into the pool because now I'm in this space. I know that if I really need to rest, whether it's after a healing session. Yesterday, I was bombarded where it was like everything negative was happening in my world that was traumatic. Everybody needed me. And I was grateful that they needed me. I was grateful that they were calling me. This is my family. But I was like, oh my gosh, this has been 4 hours. I'm exhausted. Now, can I answer people on my emails now? Can I go there? Can I do this? And what I also find what's really interesting is I never have a Thursday off. And I said to Madison, who works for me, I said, oh, I have Thursday off. I wonder what's going to happen. Wonder why I need to have a Thursday off. And oh my gosh, did I need to have that Thursday off because everybody needed me. But I literally was like, I'm emotionally exhausted. And so I just said, you know what, I'm going to go and lay down in my healing room and I'm going to play a meditation for myself. And I think I've told you before, is I have to tune in and like the person's voice that I'm listening to. If I don't, it's just like, then I'm just listening to the voice and not what's really happening. Yep. So find something that works for you. And it might even be just sound. It might even just be sitting outside. But I know that if I physically make myself go to this space versus if I just go sit outside, now I'm looking at the birds and now I'm thinking all these things and my brain starts to go again. And I need to quiet the brain.
Yeah.
And I think when we quiet the brain and we give the brain rest, that's when more stuff comes to us. That's when Spirit's speaking to us. That's when we can hear them, feel them, because they go, okay, they're ready, they're open, right? Otherwise, we got too much going on, we don't see it.
Yeah, we're literally blocking that communication. Yeah. I'm really grateful for the thorough answers from both of you. And I'm aware that there probably needs to be time for other people to have their questions. But if there's, I've always wanted to ask you, Debra, your relationship to God and your relationship to, well, I use the word source, I suppose, but we often hear that we're facets of source, that we're all one and we're all part. And I really understand that. But and I have sometimes in deep meditation experienced in my heart, especially moments where I could feel source energy coming through. And I was like, oh, I can see how I could start to identify with this energy rather than the mental, the ego, the identity with what is being thought. And it's sort of little moments like that are coming through. But in your near-death experiences, you described source and God as being a force outside of yourself, that you were able to go into a room, just the two of you together, no one else could hear what was going on, and you signed that contract together. And what was that feeling like for you? How did you feel? Like, did you feel like this was a separate entity, or that you still felt combined with this force? Like, what is that duality, that dynamic there?
It's so interesting you ask that, because I believe that God will come in the form in which we recognize and feel God to be. There is no right or wrong vision of God. That's why I try not to say too much of what I see, because I don't want to limit that it's only one way. Now, when I connect in a healing session, I'm feeling God, and that feeling is love. And when it comes, sometimes it's so overwhelming, so hot, so warm that I can't breathe. I'm like, close off, I can't breathe. And it's undeniable, but it goes right to the heart, and it just, everything else becomes calm. And I usually will start crying too, because it's so overwhelmingly beautiful. Now, in my near-death experience, I believe that I had to have the vision this way so that I could see. God was giving me like a vision. And in my healing sessions, he gives visions and takes people on journeys as well. And so what happens is I needed to have this journey where I was now seeing my body being held, like, you're sick. And so I feel like my spirit was watching and observing. And so I was very much still alive, right? In spirit form we are. But I recognized that light coming towards me. And I recognize that light because that light's within me. We're born with that. We are one. But I had to have the conversation and feeling, and it happened in my car accident as well. I felt the being behind me, and God stood behind me when I did the contract. Never in front, not seeing the face, not seeing anything. I felt right here.
Yeah.
And it was like, I've got your back.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm always here. And it was speaking and looking down. But what was interesting, not only did I sign the contract, God signed it, saying, we're doing this together. And that's what gave me the strength of saying, if this is my passion, I'm supposed to do this. I gave an oath, but God gave an oath back. And with that, no matter what I went through, losing everything, I knew that God was going to take care of me. And that goes for all of you. This isn't just a story for me. This is a story for you, that no matter what you're doing, if you're doing God's work and you're doing the passion to help others, you'll be taken care of too. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think it had to it was given to me this way so that I could verbalize it. If I just said, oh, it was a feeling, nobody could connect with it. But if I share it like a story that was shown to me in kind of a story vision setting, then it became, oh, I can connect with that. I know what she went through. I get that. It became relatable. So I think it was actually a great question, because I never thought of it that way. And it was truly a gift the way it was given. And so when I had cancer, I heard a voice come into my bedroom right here and said, I had a hemorrhoid that I had asked to get out. And they said, no, it's fine. 4 months later, I heard, you need to remove it now. Just like that. You need to remove it now. I didn't see anything, didn't feel anything. I heard the voice.
Yeah.
And when you hear it and feel it, smell it, embrace it, you don't deny it. It's deep. It goes to your core. And you're like, I don't care what that doctor says. I'm listening. Right? And
Sure.
so just follow your guidance, because you'll never be led wrong.
Beautiful. Sandra has a question about repeating numbers and angel numbers. And Debra, we're getting close to the top of the hour. I'm okay to run over a few minutes if you are, or if you have to go, we can wrap it up.
Oh, I'm good. I love it when Spirit shows me different numbers. Love it. And sometimes when I'm doing a healing reading session, that's the numbers will come through. 33, when I see 33 or 33, I just really believe that it's divine energy. The divine energy is there. Everything's, I just feel like they say Jesus died at the age of 33. So I just put it as, this is divine number. It's divine. The divine is with you. When I see like 111s, it's like they're trying to say hello. Like if you start seeing 222s, 333s, there are other meanings between each number. And I do put, whenever that comes like a 9-9, like it's the 9th, September 9th, I do put these affirmations and stuff on my Instagram and Facebook so people can kind of see the meanings. But I do want to say to you that it could just be a simple hello from them, that if you're starting to see those numbers, it doesn't have to have a meaning behind it. When I see 1111, I do feel divine. Everything's going to be okay. Like everything's in divine order. There's abundance. There's numbers for abundance. There's all kinds of different meanings for these numbers. But for me, when they show up and I'm going to do a session, I just smile because I'm like, oh, that's their way to say hello. Or it could be like significant to their birth date or an anniversary. And it's like, okay, there could be double symbolism. So just be open to what it is. But yes, I love the angels, your loved ones, the divine. They're getting your attention by using these numbers.
Is that what it's?
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. For me, the repeating numbers and the angel numbers, it's happened every day without fail, multiple times a day. Over this past year, maybe year and a half. And I don't know if it's happened prior and I just never noticed, but it's every day without fail. And I mean 3, 4, 5, 8 times a day where I see repeating numbers on my phone, my clocks. It's just constant. It's just when I look, and it does make me smile. And I do believe that it's it's spirit trying to get my attention. When I go looking for the meaning, however, what I find is it's all the same, right? I mean, it's something about abundance. It's something about them saying that they're there to support you. But can it be that that I'm seeing these numbers and I hope I'm not taking the time away from others, but can it be that I'm seeing the numbers every day and it's just a hello, or is there more to it? And if there is more to it, do you have a recommendation as to where I can go? I did hear you say that you have something on your website as well, to be able to maybe dig a little deeper.
So there are books out there that you can purchase for these numbers. I know Doreen Virtue had one. I don't know if she still sells it, but I love that one because it's a little book and it has all the meanings for every double digit, triple digit number there is. I like that book, and I don't even remember what the book's called. It could be just Angel Numbers by Doreen Virtue. But I wouldn't take it as a coincidence. And I think that's why it's happening to you every day, several times a day, because they're like, you can't just make this up. We're going to make sure that you know this, and we're going to just keep driving this into you so that you're just like, it's just something that happens. No, it's not just something that happens. They're really pushing it at you to say, we're here for you. We're here every day for you. So tap into us. And I also think that they're telling you, please talk to us more. Ask us questions. Surrender. Because if they're getting they're trying to get your attention. Why don't you connect with them then?
Right.
Sit down and say, who are you? I did an exercise once, and all of you can do this. Just close your eyes and take a moment and say, okay, I'm going to ask, what is the name of the angel that stands in front of me? You might hear a name. You might hear a loved one's name that's in spirit. And you might hear nothing for the one in front, and then follow to the right, follow the back, and follow to this side. And you'll start to learn their names and start to learn to connect with them. It's that simple. It helps. You just have to say, what is your name? Please tell me it now. What is the name to the angel that stands on my right? Please tell me your name now. And it comes through. And then now you have a connection. And it might even be say, well, I'm your grandma. I'm your dad. And you might not, if it's a loved one, you might not even hear their name. You might feel their presence, and a memory might drop into your mind. I'm hearing this from spirit right now. That makes you think of your dad at that moment. Your loved one. Then
I was just thinking of my dad, Debra.
You were just thinking of your dad?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then I just answered who that is.
It's so fun and encouraging when coincidences just start stacking up. It's just such a nice way that the universe is winking at you and saying, good job, you're on the right track.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the great advice.
You're so welcome. Thank you guys for taking the time to ask questions and being vulnerable and putting it all out there. Thanks, Carrie, for the hearts too.
I'm going to ask one last closing question. This is for a client of mine because I know she's got psychic ability in her. She doesn't know how to develop it. How would you recommend somebody develop their psychic ability?
So when it started to happening to me, I just sat down working with friends, people that you trust, okay, that aren't going to judge you. Because the first thing you do is if they say, no, that doesn't make any sense to you, and make sure they're open to this too. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you start getting all this negative, then you take that on and think, I'm no good. But I want you to remove that and say, what's coming through isn't up to me. If it doesn't come through, I'm blaming the spirit. Because I know I can hear, and I know that I have this ability. Because if I didn't have this ability, I wouldn't have the desire to do it. So now stand in it. Then I would say, find that person that you can, or people, where you can say, okay, is there a loved one that you want to connect with or that you want to hear from? And to me, I didn't need a name. I just liked the relationship. That's how we worked when it was through getting tested with Windbridge. It was like, I'm going to give you, it's a male. And then I had to figure out, was it a son? Was it a dad? Was it, how old is he? What was his hobbies? What did he like? And I started asking spirit those questions. And just, even if it doesn't make sense, write it down, because it's not supposed to make sense to you. It'd be like, it could be the oddest thing. I got the song yesterday, zippity doo-dah, zippity a, and that had a lot of meaning. Like, come on, right? So you trust these things and you write it down, and then you give them to her. So you're not doing it in person. I want you to do it stepping away, because then you're not reading her mind. You're not tapping into her energy. You're sitting by yourself with spirit. Find that spot. Mine was always in the closet. I had a bedroom closet, and I was like, I'm going to remove myself from everything. I'm going to go into my closet, and this is where I'm going to be. And I'd take a notepad, and I'd have all my questions. What do you look like? What was your hobby? What did you do for work? Do you have something to say to your loved one? Is there anything that you see that they're doing now? What characteristics do they look like? And just, is there anything funny? Is there a song? Ask certain questions. And then if they don't come through, go to the next question. Don't push yourself that if it doesn't come through, that you'd be like, I don't want to talk about that. But it opens, it's kind of like going on a first date. You're opening the communication by asking the questions, and then things will start to just come natural. And I think that's how you have to think about it, is meeting somebody the first time. And then as you develop, you will learn that it's what spirit wants to give, not what you want to get to ask. And then just you'll I think they'll develop because they'll start to feel like, wow, I'm getting things. And that's what happened with me with the science. The science was my backbone. I did the testing and I'm like, I don't know if this stuff is right. And then when I'm passing, they're like, oh yeah, wow, it is. And so she's kind of taking a test and getting that feedback with people she trusts.
Excellent. Very good. All righty. Well, I want to also thank everybody for being here. It's been a pleasure. Lovely talking with you again, Debra. Love your story. I've got other stories on my podcast, Next Level Healing, and I will definitely be coming to your Army of Love. I think that sounds wonderful.
Oh, I would love to have you there. Thank you. Thank you. You'll get to experience it, which would be lovely.
And for anybody knowing more about the subconscious mind and how to remove blockages there, working one-to-one with me, you can go to consulttara.com. There's a button that says Let's Talk if you're curious about what that's like. Because I get people all the time that have panic attacks and debilitating this and debilitating that. And if they've tried everything, they typically have great success with this.
Great. Thank you for the work that you do too.
I love how synergistic and sort of complementary the work is. Basically helping people get from where they are to where they want to go. By accessing, in your case, intuition. In my case, I help people connect to their subconscious mind.
And that's the beauty, is we're all doing healing in different ways, and there's no right or wrong way, but we're all helping in our way that we can. And so remember that for yourself. Don't be searching and saying, I want to be a medium, so I'm going to read every James von Prague and how they all do it. I used to start that way, and they're like, why are you doing that? You can take little pieces of them, but of their tools, but let them be your own tools. Develop
like you were saying, when somebody is knowing how do you develop this new career path, just wherever that passion is, move into it, embody it, and plug it in wherever you can in your life. Matteo, you got a nice compliment saying that if you started a podcast, you'd have a member already in your audience. And the first thing I thought of when I heard your voice was how lovely it was. So maybe there's an interesting synchronicity there. Maybe the universe wanted you to hear that.
I've told him that before. I told him he needs to do meditations for people.
Send me one. When you send it to me, because I love the sound of your voice. It's very soothing.
We both said the same thing, so now you heard it again.
This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.